In this video, we will discuss whether or not there exists a concept of freedom and necessity in Leibniz philosophy, and along with that, we will deal with the proofs for the existence of God given by Leibniz. So, man, according to Leibniz, is free to pursue his perfections. These perfections consist in the enlightened benevolence for all. But at the same time, it is very important to note that every action has its roots in antecedent movements according to Leibniz. This can also be said as nothing can starter de novo. De novo here basically means afresh, that nothing can really start without having its roots in antecedent movements. According to Leibniz, a purely undetermined action means an abrupt action, but this will break the law of continuity. I hope you remember the law of continuity. If you do not, please watch the videos made on Leibniz. Coming back, so every action is determined by the past antecedents is what we have established by now. So Leibniz says that the more ignorant we are of the past antecedents, the more determined is our action. In other words, he's basically saying that the more we act from our clear ideas or clear perceptions, the freer we are. This freedom consists in self-determinism. Basically, what Leibniz is saying is the clear ideas or the eternal truths have a special seat in the mind. And the more we act according to them, that is, the more we act according to the clear ideas or the eternal truths, the more self-determined we are. And more self-determined basically here means the more freer we are. So he says when we are more clear about our goal, when we are dealing with clear ideas or eternal truths, the more rationally we will have to decide between the various possibilities, and choice will be guided more by the law of sufficient reason. Hence, freedom consists neither in necessity nor in strict spontaneity, but in the spontaneous unfolding of the actions guided by clear perceptions. Basically, he is saying that God is the most free being because he can do whatever he pleases. It is not because his actions are dictated by his rational nature, but because his every act is determined by the infinite wisdom for the best possible end. And like we have already discussed in our previous videos, this is the same reason why Leibniz says God has chosen this world is because out of all the infinite possibilities possible, God chose the best possible world for achieving the moral values. The next topic is the proofs that Leibniz gives for the existence of God. Now Leibniz gives 4 proofs for the existence of God. They are the ontological proof, the cosmological proof, proof based on eternal truth, and lastly, proof based on harmony. So the first is ontological proof. Leibniz says that every monad has 2 aspects. That is, there's an aspect of actual and possible, likewise activity and passivity. The less developed monads are more passive than active, and the more developed ones are more active than passive. Similarly, the more developed monad is actual and the less developed monad is naturally not that active, so it is passive in nature. In this hierarchical series of monads, like the more developed ones are the active ones and the less developed ones are the passive ones, God is regarded as the most developed monad. As a result, he is also called as actus purus. God is the actus purus, that is, every possibility which has fully become actual and fully become existent. So the proof runs as, if God is possible, then he must exist, for his existence is a necessary consequence of his possibility. I hope you remember that we have already discussed the first and the best ontological argument ever was proposed by Saint Anselm of Canterbury. Saint Anselm claims to derive the existence of God from the concept of being that which no greater being can be conceived. So, the mere reason that I have an idea of a God which is the greatest being of all time necessarily mean that that God must exist. So this is the basic premise behind the ontological argument for the existence of God. So now coming back to Leibniz, he says if God does not exist, then he would not be possible, nor would anything outside of him be possible. In other words, every monad has both actuality and possibility, but in the case of God, what is possible is also actual. Hence, the existence of God follows from the very possibility of him or the very possibility of his existence. The second is the cosmological proof. Now, according to the cosmological proof, every particular thing is contingent, for we can always think of its non-existence. So, not only particular things, but the universe as a whole can also be easily imagined to be non-existent. As such, it is contingent in nature. But Leibniz says every contingent truth is based on sufficient reason. Hence, the universe as a whole, being contingent, must have a sufficient reason outside the universe. Now, this sufficient reason is nothing but God. This proof depends on the validity of the law of sufficient reason, which is rather unclear in nature. Besides, it depends on the ontological proof, for it assumes the existence of a necessary being who can be the sufficient reason. So, like we have already discussed, ontological proof assumes the existence of the God because the reason we have an idea of God, he must exist. On the other hand, the cosmological proof says it assumes the existence of a necessary being because that necessary being is taken to be the sufficient reason. Now, the third is the proof based on eternal truth. So, there are certain propositions which are always true, like bachelors are unmarried men, or we can also say that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. The basis of these eternal truths cannot be contingent, but they must be found in the eternal truths. So, Leibniz says, but a reason for what exists must also be itself existent. Therefore, the eternal truths must exist, and they can exist as thoughts in the mind of the Supreme Being, God. And lastly, proof based on harmony. The topic principle of pre-established harmony or the principle of harmony has been discussed a multiple time in videos on Leibniz. So I will not discuss that concept in detail. We will just deal with the proof here. So according to Leibniz, in the monadology, it is a clear principle that there exists a harmony in the monads. This harmony supposes that there is a being who has regulated and introduced the harmony from the outside. And who is that being who has regulated and introduced the harmony from the outside? That being is God. Leibniz believes in the existence of God. He says that God is just and a loving God. Man differs from other souls not only in being a clear image of universe, but in being a conscious image of God is what Leibniz believes in. By virtue of being a conscious image of God, man can know and imitate him. It is this higher knowledge which tells him that he is not only what an inventor is to the machine, rather he is what a prince is to his subjects or a father is to his children. Here, basically, the analogies are only to show that Leibniz emphasizes on the conscious devotion and participation of simple mind in the Divine One. So these are the four main proofs or the four significant proofs given by Leibniz for the existence of God. Now, the question, which among the following proofs are given by Leibniz for the existence of God? The correct answer is he gives ontological and cosmological proof, and he gives the eternal truth and the principle or the truth of pre-established harmony. Please note, the teleological proof for the existence of God is not given by Leibniz.